Glaucus the fisherman, a god born of the sea. The golden Aegean sun cast shimmering spears across the water as Glaucus, a humble fisherman, stood barefoot on the rocky shore mending his nets. His hands, calloused from years of toil, worked deftly, untangling knots as the salt air curled through his dark hair. The tide lapped at his ankles, a rhythmic reminder of the life he had always known, one bound to the sea. He sighed, glancing at the horizon where the sky kissed the waves. I could never leave this life even if I wished to, he thought. The ocean is in my blood. That day had been kind to him. His nets were brimming with fish, silver, blue and gold-scaled creatures that writhed and glistened under Helios' gaze. He hauled them ashore, the weight of his labor pressing into his shoulders. As he prepared to sort his catch, something strange happened. One fish, then another, leapt from the pile and wriggled its way toward the surf, moving with unnatural strength. Glaucus blinked. He had seen fish flop before, but never with such determination, such purpose. He reached out, catching one mid-leap, but the moment it touched the vibrant green grass at the edge of the shore, it jerked free of his grasp and dove into the sea. By the gods! He murmured, his heart pounding. He crouched and ran his fingers over the grass, softer than moss, fragrant with a scent not of the earth but of the deep. It called to him, pulling at something unspoken within his soul. Was this the gift of Poseidon? His fingers trembled as he plucked a handful of the strange greenery and without thinking brought it to his lips. The taste was bracing, like biting into the ocean itself, a surge of brine and life coursing through his veins. A chill crawled up his spine. His pulse quickened. His skin burned and froze all at once. Then suddenly he could not stand still. His feet carried him forward, his body lurching toward the waves as if pulled by an unseen force. "No, what is happening to me?" he gasped. The moment his toes touched the water, the world shifted. The cold sea did not bite as it always had. Instead, it embraced him, welcomed him, beckoned him deeper. His legs trembled, his knees buckled, and with a final breathless cry, he fell into the sea. The water engulfed him, but he did not sink. Instead, he floated, suspended in the blue abyss. The weight of his human life, the aches, the weariness, the toil, was washed away. Something was changing. His arms stretched, his fingers webbed together. His legs, once strong and sturdy, began to fuse, the flesh shifting, reshaping, until what remained was not feet, but a great, powerful tail covered in shimmering scales. His breath no longer came in desperate bursts. He could breathe underwater. Glaucus gasped, his voice echoing through the deep. He turned his hands before his eyes, watching them glow with a strange blue light. "What am I?" A voice, ancient and knowing, whispered through the currents. "You are of the sea now, Glaucus." The former fisherman turned, his hair floating around him like drifting seaweed. From the shadows of the deep, a great form emerged. Proteus, the shape-shifting old god of the sea. His body was shifting even as he spoke, his face ever-changing, his eyes as old as the waves themselves. "You have eaten of the sacred grass," Proteus intoned, his voice rolling like distant thunder. "It has awakened what lay dormant within you." Glaucus clutched his chest, his heart hammering. "But I was just a man. A fisherman. I never sought this." Proteus chuckled, a sound like the crashing tide. "Did you not? You have always longed for the sea, have you not? Now it has claimed you." Glaucus swallowed hard. The thought of never setting foot on land again, of never walking among men, sent a pang of sorrow through his soul. "Am I alone?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Proteus' ever-changing eyes softened. "No, child. You're one of us now. But beware. Immortality is a heavy tide to bear." And with that, Proteus vanished, leaving Glaucus alone in his newfound eternity. Time passed, though how much Glaucus could no longer tell. He had become a guardian of the sea, watching over sailors, whispering warnings to those who strayed too close to perilous shores. But then one day he saw Scylla. She stood on the cliffs, her beauty so radiant it rivaled the moon. Her hair tumbled in golden waves, her form delicate yet strong. Glaucus' heart, though changed, was still capable of love. And in that moment it belonged to her. He rose from the sea, calling out, "Fair maiden, do not fear me, I am Glaucus, protector of these waters." But Scylla recoiled in terror. "A monster!" she cried, stepping back from the shore. Glaucus' heart shattered. "No, I was once a man like those you know. The sea has merely changed me." But she would not listen. She fled, vanishing into the cliffs, leaving Glaucus drowning in despair. In his sorrow he sought the sorceress Circe. "Help me," he pleaded. "Give me something, anything, to make her love me." Circe, with her dark eyes and wicked smile, traced a finger along his scaled arm. "Why chase a love that fears you?" she purred. "Forget Scylla, and love me instead." But Glaucus shook his head. "My heart belongs to her." Circe's expression darkened. "Then she shall be cursed for it." Before Glaucus could protest, she cast her spell, and Scylla, his love, was transformed into a horror, a great beast with snapping jaws and writhing limbs, doomed to haunt the narrow strait for eternity. Glaucus cried out in anguish, racing to the cliffs where she had last stood, only to see the monstrous form she had become. "Scylla!" he roared, his voice swallowed by the waves. She did not answer. Heartbroken, he turned away, vowing never to seek love again. Now Glaucus roams the waters, watching over lost sailors and whispering to the tides. His laughter echoes in the waves, his sorrow carried in the storms. Once a simple fisherman, he is now a god of the sea, bound forever to the water that both gave him life and took everything he loved. And so, the man who once fished the sea became part of it.